Hello everybody, good afternoon. Here's Andreas Nest, business coach. So today we are in Wickham in Hampshire, and we will be talking to Peter Axworthy, who runs a vegan-based restaurant. And we wanted to understand how he came up with this idea and how it's going and where he actually came from and what motivated him to go into this kind of arena. So thank you very much for seeing us, Peter.
Nice to meet you, Andy.
And just to understand a bit more about your background, we would like to understand where you came from, what gave you the idea to start this kind of concept restaurant, and how is it going?
It's going really well, thank you. So, my history is I left college and I really didn't know what to do with my life. So I fell into the finance world, did a good 11 to 12 years in finance, working my way up the ladder and taking various jobs. But all the while in my spare time, I was cooking, and that was what my passion was. As much as I loved some of my jobs, cooking was my passion. And as the years went by, I started thinking, is there a way out of this 9-to-5 job? Is there a way that I can have some more freedom? And is there a way I can incorporate what I really love to do so that it almost doesn't feel like a job anymore?
Right.
So after sort of about 12 years, the idea came to me and the confidence came to me that I could perhaps leave the finance industry and start work as a private chef, retrain myself, start work as a private chef, become self-employed, which is all very daunting and very new. Even when I was being a private chef, it was evident that I wasn't getting enough time to work on the business.
Right.
Because when I wasn't cooking, doing a job, I was back in the finance job.
Right.
So I was really struggling to move forwards with it.
So you worked loads of hours trying to cope with both things.
Yes,
but
that's
then
it.
Eventually came there the point then when you thought, I now have got enough experience and enough work to actually quit the finance job and move full time into the chefing?
I kind of went at it at a different angle. I kind of got to a point where I thought it's kind of stagnating at this point, and unless I do something about it, unless I take a calculated risk, which was I knew I could go back into the finance work if I needed to, was to leave the finance job and to give 100% to the business and give myself time to work on it to see if it was something that could succeed. Unfortunately, it didn't, and there just wasn't enough work in that particular field of work for the food I wanted to cook to make it a full-time living. Okay. So I went back to temping, and then a few years later, the opportunity came up to actually have my own restaurant here at the Chesapeake Mill, and I've never looked back.
Right, and it's called Offbeet.
Yes.
Is there any reason why it's called Offbeet, and why did you go into the vegan kind of arena with your restaurant?
So it's called Offbeet. We rebranded after 1 year when we turned to a completely vegan restaurant. So the branding Offbeet is obviously you've got beetroot in there, which is something that we're a plant-based restaurant, and Offbeet is a play on the word offbeat, so to mean unconventional and
away from the beaten track.
That's it, away from the beaten track or onto the beaten track, and to sort of always challenge things and challenge traditions. I see. And that's kind of the way I look at business as well.
And how has it gone so far? So you started off the first year as a normal conventional restaurant?
Yes, kind of maybe 60-70% vegetarian, and then with some meat dishes and dairy. And then after the first year, we rebranded as Offbeet. So what I'd say is in the first year, it was really tough, and we struggled. And I was in a partnership with my mother, and she wasn't vegan, and she also didn't particularly share my view that a vegan restaurant could succeed. But we did 12 months, and it was a very difficult 12 months.
What was so difficult about it?
Well, you've got to think, it's at Wickham, there's 1, 2, 3, 4. I mean, there's at least 5 other eateries. They're all in the square. They've all got parking very close, and they're all of a fairly good quality. So, for people to come and visit somewhere that's around the corner, and believe it or not, 10-minute walk for a customer can seem like a long way. It was hard to convince customers to come down here because we were offering good food. We were getting good feedback on our food, but it was very difficult. Now this is where I took a step back and I actually thought, what can we do that other restaurants aren't doing?
Right.
That's not only vegan cuisine,
Yeah.
it's to specialise in something.
I see.
Because there's so many
you wanted to
people
go
doing
into a
everything.
niche, yeah, like a USP, like a unique selling
Absolutely,
proposition.
yeah.
Right,
So a
okay.
USP, so going niche.
Going back to after the first year here, and then you switched to the vegan based.
Yes.
How long did it take you actually get traction to actually get the people around to the idea that you are now different? And did you emphasize it with any kind of marketing, or was it just by sheer force of, your will that you tried to persuade people to do that?
Sure. So I guess we kind of soft transitioned to the vegan restaurant.
Right.
We didn't sort of go from one day and say, right, that's it.
Okay.
The vegetarian dishes were growing. We offered feedback forms,
Yeah.
which we put on every table every day.
Ah.
And if somebody completed a feedback form, we offered them free cup of coffee on the next visit.
Okay.
So that was one way of getting people to come back anyway,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
they could only redeem it on the next
Yeah.
visit. But also it gave us the confidence that we could go vegan and still have a good market. And also it almost was like a marketing tool anyway, because
Yeah.
it was making people aware of our ideas
I see.
and how we were going to proceed in the future. So then we changed the food,
Yeah.
and we kept dairy milk. And that
Yeah.
was something that I had to fight against for a bit of a while with my business partner, my family,
Yeah.
my wife. They all said, if you change and get rid of dairy milk, it's crazy. People won't come in.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I thought it was a little bit crazy,
Yeah.
but I like to rock the boat, and
Yeah.
I think that that attracts attention.
Yeah.
Because one person may say, hey, have you heard that place?
No more milk.
No more milk.
Yeah.
It's crazy, but the coffee is amazing.
Yes.
And we knew we had to hit those marks. We knew everything had to be great,
Mm.
because if it wasn't, we would get people saying, that crazy vegan place and that the coffee's terrible.
Yeah.
But we were confident that it wasn't.
Yeah.
Word of mouth has been very powerful. Social media,
Yeah.
obviously, you have to put your time into it, but it's a fairly
Yeah.
free platform if you're
Yeah.
not using the advertising.
In terms of the kind of the recipes that you are creating, is that something that you collect also over the internet? Is it something that you create on your own mind and then you dish it up and you try it amongst your stuff? How do you come up with all these exciting different recipes?
So to come up with a recipe, usually I will come up with an initial concept. So either it'll either be a concept or an ingredient,
Yeah.
and we'll work around it from there. We also look at the seasons, what's going to be on the market in the season that we're in. I'm lucky that I've cooked passionately since I've been 18. I'm 37 now, so I've built up a good back catalogue of recipes that I've done at home or as a private chef, and that's given me the ability to kind of see ingredients and know what goes with them.
So what would you say is your biggest challenge at the moment then? So you have an established restaurant.
Yeah.
I know you want to expand. So what challenges are you facing now?
The challenges that I'm facing now, and I'm sure you are definitely aware of them, Andy, is the old saying of working in the business and not on it.
Right.
Or as I've probably done, I've worked in the business and on it, and burning out.
Right.
And I think you, as a restaurateur or entrepreneur or business owner, you have to be very careful of those things.
Yeah.
Sometimes you can read literature, and it's not always easy just to follow it line by line, because real life throws up things in your face that you have to deal with. But at the point I'm at now, where we're growing, we're extremely busy, we're talking to investors, we're looking at new venues, I'm now working very hard on taking myself out from working in the business.
Right.
So my main challenge is in the next short term,
Yeah.
I'm making sure that there are processes in place,
Yeah.
so that when I'm not here, everything is run the way that I've set it up and it's not deviated from. Make sure the quality stays the same. And I'm looking to, so another risk I'm taking, I'm employing another full-time chef.
Right.
To do that, I will have to make some more revenue, but the revenue that I will make will be less work for me working in the business than it is at the moment. I have to make that work to employ someone else, but if I don't, I won't take myself out of the picture of working in one restaurant full time.
Absolutely, because you're always constantly engaged here, so you can't work
That's
on
it.
the expansion.
That's it.
It's the only way forward. So a lot of the restaurants I talk to have challenges with finding good stuff and
Yes.
keeping good stuff. It's an
Yeah.
ongoing challenge. Is there anything that you can recommend that people can do to motivate their staff, keep staff, train staff? Is there anything you do different where you think you attract nice talent and keep them?
I mean, I'm not sure if I do anything different, but my philosophy is one, when people come for an interview, I'm very honest with them, and I explain to them how I work and how ambitious I am for the business. And I make it a very attractive place to work by explaining to them that we want this business to be a big success. We don't want to just come in Monday to Friday, go home and have customers happy. We want to go places. And if that's the sort of person you are, then you really want to work with us. The other thing that I say to my staff is that I'm not a closed book. I don't come in and tell you, this is how we want to do something, this is how I'm going to cook this. I'm open to everybody's ideas. We won't always go with them, but everybody's creative input is involved and included. I also make sure that I praise staff, not all the time. I don't just keep praising them, but staff know that when I give praise, because I am so strict with quality, that it is a very valued thing. So make praise valued. Even small treats, you know, a meal out, a cinema ticket for my chefs, you know, a cookery book, you know,
just small little gifts.
A small gift will go further. I mean, everybody likes to have a pay rise. Everybody likes to have a bonus. But through the year, just a small token will make your staff realise that the owner or the manager who has run off their feet and is sometimes seems like they got their head in every other place other than in work, has noticed them and noticed their hard work.
Right. Very good. Very good. Are there any exciting events coming up in the near future that you want to tell your audience?
Well, we are. Once we have the new full-time chef on, we're hoping to start running a more regular fine dining evening. So it will be a 7-course set menu.
Wow.
Really pushing the boundaries of our cuisine. Lots of kind of molecular things. So one example of a dish we worked on previously was a clear consommé soup, and we made an edible bath bomb which has the flavour and the herbs and petals.
An edible bath bomb?
Yeah. So you know a bath bomb you put in your bath? You put it in your soup, and your soup is unseasoned. It seasons everything and fizzes around, and when it finishes, your soup's ready. So dishes like that you can expect, and along with that we are also doing cookery lessons.
Very exciting. Well, thank you very much, Peter. It's been a great
thank you.
Great pleasure meeting you.
No
and
problem.
Hope you guys got some great tips for your restaurants, hotels, etc. So yeah, that was Peter Axworthy from the Offbeet Restaurant in Wickham. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.